Thank you for joining us again for another episode of studentrentertips.com. Today we're going to be discussing the very important implied warranty of habitability, and more specifically, the two sections within this subtopic we're going to be talking about are tenants beware and what's required under the implied warranty of habitability. Now, as discussed previously in one of the other videos in this studentrentertips.com series, we mentioned how college students as renters, and especially as new renters, should always inspect a property before they move in. It essentially helps them decide whether or not they want to end up signing a lease and eventually occupy the particular unit. Now, in the case of college students, especially since they are new renters and they're unfamiliar with what a property should look like and what legally has to be fixed by their landlord, the responsibilities don't end upon moving in. The responsibilities as renters continue throughout their entire time they're living in a specific unit. The most important thing to remember about the implied warranty of habitability is that it stands to serve the tenant. So college students, pay attention to this, because this is an opportunity for you to have a chance to essentially hold your landlord liable for things that he's not holding up on his end of the deal, which is required by not only the lease, but also by state and federal law. More than anything, as a new renter, you need to understand that a rental unit must be fit to live in. It must be habitable by you. Legally speaking, habitable means that the rental unit is fit for occupation by human beings and that it substantially complies with state and local building and health codes, and that nothing materially affects the tenant's health and safety. That's the key concern here, and that's what you need to understand. The purpose of this provision is to ensure that your health and your safety are not being put at risk. And if a landlord falls behind on his duties, that can happen and your health and safety can be put at risk. This is what we want to try and avoid. Landlords are ultimately the ones who are responsible for ensuring that residential dwelling units are fit for habitability. Let me repeat that. The landlords are responsible for ensuring that the residential dwelling units are fit for habitability. The law thus implies them in this very manner, hence why it's the implied warranty of habitability. Under this implied warranty, the landlord is the one who's legally responsible for repairing conditions. This was stemmed in the case Green v. Superior Court. This is the landmark case as far as this provision is concerned, and it has stood as precedent as far as what courts look at in situations where landlords haven't repaired defects when they've been required to by local, state, and ordinance laws. Under this provision, however, landlords are not responsible for repairing damages that were caused by the tenant. Even more than that, college students, be aware. If you have guests over, if you have family or friends over, if your friends' dogs come over and they ruin something in the house that ends up becoming a big defect and it ends up affecting you in a negative manner as far as your health or your safety, you are responsible for that. Your landlord is not responsible, for the defects caused by outside members such as family or guests. Now, moving to the second prong here on what's required, the implied warranty of habitability requires several things. It imposes several liabilities upon landlords and essentially holds them liable for their failure to substantially comply with building and housing code standards. More importantly, cases such as Green v. Superior Court and local and state ordinances have now provided that a rental unit cannot be substantially lacking, and let me repeat that, cannot be substantially lacking in areas such as this. Waterproofing, plumbing facilities must be in good order. You can't have rusty or moldy pipes. Heating facilities must be in good working order. There must be a working electrical system that isn't defective in any manner, such as exposed wires, and things such as that. There must be access to floors and stairways. There must be adequate trash receptacles. Furthermore, all rental units must have things such as working toilets, operating kitchens, disposal systems. There must be natural lighting, whether it's through windows or skylights in most of the rooms. Moving on, something that's very important is you cannot move into a unit that does not have a working smoke detector. Although this isn't a big deal, for someone like a college student, you may not think, it actually ends up being a very large issue when it comes to fire hazards and things such as that. Because ultimately, like we said in the beginning of this video, This provision is made to ensure your health and your safety. And so if you're working to comply with it and your landlord's working to comply with it, it ensures that you're both going to get the most out of your lease. As far as maintenance and upkeep go with the implied warranty of habitability, generally the landlord is the one who's required to maintain the property to keep the unit livable. He has to make sure that things are up to code, things are up to date. If something falls out of defect while you're living there, it's your responsibility to bring it to your landlord's attention, and your landlord's responsibility to make sure that after it's been brought to his attention, they fix whatever is required of them. If you have any issues which you think arise during your lease, feel free to visit the website. We have several other circumstances which the implied warranty of habitability applies. Thank you again for joining us, and we will see you in another series. Thank you.